The HKTDC Hong Kong Book Fair returns to the Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Centre on July 21st. In terms of visitor numbers, this 7-day event is the world's largest Chinese language book fair. But this year, it's turning a new page with a hugely expanded English offering. The fair is attracting some of the world's finest English authors, including British actor Stephen Fry. During the fair, he'll be taking part at a forum moderated by Hong Kong businessman and author Sir David Tang, who recently caught up with Stephen Fry in London.
Stephen, you are coming out for two open forums, one at the book fair and the other at the Hong Kong University. At both of these forums, we like you to talk about how you write as a writer, what you write, and why you write as a writer. Now, I know, and everybody knows, you are very witty. First question I have for you is that do you think that sarcasm in English, or the innuendos, or the funny bits might translate to us Chinese?
Now, I don't know anything about Chinese, really, and so I can't tell. I think most human beings have the full range of emotions, and I think it is a fallacy to imagine that language constrains, confines, or indeed, if you like, is the parent of any modes of thought. It's an old linguistic fallacy, which has been since exploded, I think, by the modern generation of linguists, that somehow there are some languages you can't think conceptually in. There are some languages that are better for concepts. Yeah. That's actual nonsense, and they've been demonstrated with so-called primitive languages.
What other languages have your books been translated into?
Dozens, actually. I think I'm right in saying that I seem to be most successful and most liked in Russian.
In Russian?
Yes, I have an enormous Russian fan base for my writing, as well as television. I don't know why.
Has it been translated into Chinese, your books?
One of them has. I think The Liar has. I think.
Really?
I must go and check, actually.
Well, don't lie.
No, that would be the one to lie about.
You're an actor, playwright, screenplay writer, etc., and writer. How much do you think you managed to get in terms of writing, and do you put that as a priority?
No, I think writing is the primary one. If I really did have some malevolent deity who told me that I could only do one thing for some capricious reason that entered his or her head, I would have to choose writing. It is the most fulfilling of them. On the other hand, it is the one that requires, for me at least, the fullest concentration. And while I can do lots of television series, and I can do journalism, and I can do bits of writing and acting and films all at the same time, if it's a major writing project, I have to clear the decks entirely.
I hear from professional writers that it is important to clear your decks and also not be seduced by any distraction, and that you have to have that time. And once you have given that time aside, set it aside, you've got to stick to it.
Yes.
Is it absolutely true?
It is for me, and I've found no other way.
So what happens if the Queen invites you for dinner in the middle of this sojourn?
You writhe and you hope that you're good and say, "I'm awfully sorry, Your Majesty, but I have to be, polishing my consonants."
So it really is as disciplined as that?
Yes, I mean, for me, it's the time of day. My brain is most active in the morning. I think one of the things that happens as you get older is you realise the ultimate truth of whether you're a lark or an owl. And a lot of writers are owls. They don't warm up till 6 in the evening, and then they write through till 3 or 4 in the morning. I actually start at 4 in the morning and go on till lunchtime, and then I stop and I have a lunch, and sometimes a snooze, and then I just will do the odd light supper with friends and things, but I've got to be in bed by 9.
Are you excited about coming to Hong Kong?
Unbelievably so. Okay. I mean, they are terrible.
Have you never been to Hong Kong?
I've been to Hong Kong, but never spent any time there. I mean, really, it's just an overnight. Which is,
well, we hope that you enjoy it. And what do you think you would most want to find out about Hong Kong when you get there? Are there any expectations?
Yes, I think maybe people from Hong Kong are amused to hear the kind of preconceptions that we have here. We think of Hong Kong people as being unbelievably industrious, unbelievably keen on racing, which seems to be the national sport, in a way that no other nation has a national sport quite as big.
They say that Hong Kong is run by the...
your tax system is the jockey club.
The jockey club, the Hong Kong Bank and the governor in that order.
Right, right.
And of course, there is a huge invasion of mainland Chinese in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So you'll be seeing quite a lot of those.
Well, that's good, because I don't know many mainland Chinese people.
Yes.
And also, just the sheer density of the island is, to me, I imagine, very exciting. I love Hong Kong.
There is the part of Hong Kong called Mong Kok, which is
the densest,
densest population in the world, in fact.
Yeah.
But in fact, if you go there, it's perfectly fine because we have law and order.
They say in Mong Kok you have to look up a lot. The things fall on top of you rather easily.
No,
off balconies.
only the occasional spit.
And I worry about rain and the electrical wiring, because I've seen photographs of markets with these fairy lights everywhere, and unbelievable, because the neon and the lights, it seemed to be
Don't
very...
worry, they're all earthed.
They are good.
Yes.
And Kowloon I'd like to visit, obviously the docks and the fish markets
absolutely.
and those sort of things.
Well, we'll show you all that. And now, what's your next book?
Well, the one I've just finished, which I finished, is a second volume of autobiography. I wrote some years ago now my first volume, which was really a childhood memoir, which was, I won't say worth writing, but at least for me had things to write about, because I had a very stormy childhood. I was expelled from many schools and I ended up going to prison. And so the book ends with me coming out of prison and persuading, against their better judgment.
What age?
18, just turned 18. And I persuaded a lecturer at Norwich City College in East Anglia, where at the time where I grew up, or outside which I grew up, that if I was allowed to do a one-year course of exams, I would get top grades and I would get a scholarship to Cambridge. And he said, but we're full, we can't, registration was yesterday. I'd literally just got out of prison and gone to this college. And I said, I'll get a scholarship and he will be proud of me. And he said, I don't know why I'm doing this, but yeah, it starts on Tuesday. And that's where I ended the book. So it picks up from there, where I go to, it's a university memoir where I meet, for me, the most important and extraordinary thing was arriving at Cambridge, having had this, and it's still on probation, in fact, not that the university knew it, and meeting a girl who became an incredibly close friend, with whom I did a lot of plays and things, Emma Thompson.
But this book, when is it coming out?
It's coming out in September.
What a bore that we wouldn't be able to
I can read from it.
Yes, it would be very
required.
nice,
Yeah.
because I think that that's one of the fascinating things that Hong Kong people like to hear. We've got a refugee syndrome here, and is that sort of anything can happen,
Yes.
and it doesn't matter if you've been ostracized, as long as you are determined, you always get something done.
Rise upon the stepping stones
and
of
I
your
think that
dead self to higher things.
Your rise to Cambridge would be a really good example to aspiring prisoners. Do you think that prison there is a pervading sense of humour in prison, or do you not detect it that often?
Yes, there is. I think wherever human beings congregate, even under the most appalling pressure, there is humour.
Where do you think is the most humourless place on earth?
A French kitchen.
Or a German restaurant that we went to in Bayreuth. Stephen, I hope that you enjoy visiting Hong Kong, and we much look forward to seeing you there. And I know that the Hong Kong public will be very curious about all sorts of questions about your life and about your outlook. And we have a cultural centre to build in Hong Kong, and I think your visit will provide a modicum of aspiration to a lot of us in trying to be a bit more cultured in Hong Kong and get rid of this image somehow that we are a cultural desert. But you will see also that the book fair is an incredible event, because you wouldn't have thought that so many people are interested in books in Hong Kong in the middle of summer. And it all started because there was a lull in the convention centre, and they went to the Trade Development Council and said, well, do you want to fill it? And they said, well, how about a book fair? And bingo, it is now actually the most successful event of the year.
It shows there's an incredible
In terms of library borrowing per capita, Hong Kong is the highest in the world. Do you realise that?
No, I didn't.
It is extraordinary. So we hope that your books will flourish and get translated in Hong Kong. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir David.